Hi, I'm very excited to bring this guitar lesson to you today because this is one of my favorite solos from one of my favorite Grateful Dead songs. This is Scarlet Begonias, the guitar solo from the May 8th, 1977 Cornell University show. If you haven't heard that show, you should, because it was a very magical evening, great playing, very melodic solos throughout, and the Scarlet Fire is by far one of my favorites. And the guitar solo to the Scarlet Begonias is absolutely amazing in my opinion. And I'm going to teach you the guitar solo from that show. Let's get started. I've decided to do this guitar lesson a little bit different. Instead of going through it note for note, I decided, well, because the music is going to be on the screen and it will be on the screen during the slow demo at the end, I'm going to go through and pick out some key aspects of the solo as we go through it, and just the way I analyzed it and how I feel, the way I think about it when I play it, and how you can analyze it as you go through it. Alright, so it opens up with this phrase. So it's starting based around the E major pentatonic scale. This one we have right here. And we're sliding from the second up to the third of the E chord. So the F sharp up to the G sharp on the 5th string. Then playing the 9th to the 11th fret on the 5th string. So we have, and that's right out of that E major pentatonic scale. Then we're sliding up from the 11th fret to the 13th fret of that D string. So now we're playing the major 7th of E, and then the 5th of E, we're playing that B on the 2nd string, or you can kind of think of it as shifting up to a B chord. Even though we're playing over an E, then once we go back to the E chord, which we do in the next note, it kind of establishes a 5-to-1 chord, chord progression, which is a very, it gives a lot of movement. And I'm sure Jerry was not thinking that at all, but that's one way you can kind of think of it. We have, then we're gonna play the 13th fret, the G sharp on the 3rd string, which takes us right back into E territory, right out of that E chord shape. So we have, then we're gonna play the 11th fret of the 2nd string, and then the 12th fret. So even though we're in the key of B mixolydian, or its parent scale E major, this 11th fret, the A sharp, is not a note of that scale, but it's either a passing tone or we can call it a leading tone, because it kind of just gives forward momentum to that B note, which is now the root, because we're playing over a B chord. So far we have, so as I mentioned, we're now playing over a B. So Jerry likes to sequence a lot. So this next sequence is kind of it's a sequence out of the B mixolydian scale. We're just walking down it. And then we land on our E, the root of our E chord that we're now playing over. So let's take a look at what we have so far. So now that we're back on the E chord, we're kind of playing over the E major pentatonic again. So we're going to play the root, slide the 2nd up to the 3rd, and then we're going to play the 12th fret of the 1st string, which is an E, again the root of the E chord. And notice that interval right there. That's a 6th. It's some of Jerry's country influences coming through, and as you'll see, he plays 6ths quite a bit through this solo and through a lot of his solos. So far we have... So now that we're on that B chord, we're playing the third D sharp of the B chord, which a third is a very good chord tone to play. It really establishes the sound of the chord. So as you notice, if you play through this solo without any accompaniment, you can hear the chord changes as you play through it. And that's what made Jerry such a great player, as you don't need the chords in the background to hear the chords that you're playing through. He does that with the notes he chooses and the melodies he plays. Alright, so we have... Now that we're playing over this B chord, we're going to play a B triad, the root, the third, and the fifth. And then we're going to do another sequence out of the B Mixolydian scale. We have... We're playing a passing tone, which then leads into the A, which is the root of the A chord, and that's the beginning of the chorus. So let's take a look at that. So now we're on an A, the beginning of the chorus, so we have... So once we land on the beginning of the chorus, the A chord, we're playing the root A, and then we're going to play an A triad. So that's root, third, fifth, and then we're going to play the 10th fret, and that's pulled off to the 9th fret of the first string, so that's D to C sharp. So it's a good thing to note that Jerry often played he often played natural fourths over major chords, even if those notes weren't diatonic to the scale or key that he was in. So instead of playing he played, which to me just sounds much better. And so just note that he often did that. So after that we have, we're playing a G sharp when the E chord, so the third of the E chord. Then we're playing an F sharp, which is the fifth of the B chord. So again, he's playing chord tones on those chords to really play through the changes. So then over the A chord, we're playing out of an E cage shape, out of the caged shape. So I've already mentioned this in another lesson, but Jerry often played out of chord shapes. And you'll see it throughout this entire solo. So now that we're on the A, he's playing out of this E shape from the cage system. Then we're sliding from the major seventh up to the root of the E chord, now that we're playing over an E. So we have... The next couple of notes are just, is just maybe a hit note by accident, so I didn't put that in my transcription. Then we're back to an A chord, and we have out again out of the E cage shaped. Then we're sliding up to the 9th fret of the 2nd string, a G sharp. For the E chord, it's the 3rd of the E chord. Then we're playing down the E shape, cage shape of the B chord. That B triad right there for the B chord. Then back to an A chord, we have So for the A, it's playing out of that E cage shape for the A. And then we're playing the 6th fret of the 4th string, which is a G sharp, and that's the 3rd of an E chord, which is now what we're playing over. And he's going to play out of that C shape for the E chord, which would be, and then landing on the 3rd of the B chord, which is now what we're on. So that part right there is let me back it up just a little bit. So over the remaining time we have on that B chord, he's going to play through the B mixolydian scale. So we have let's take it from this part. So then we're landing on a G sharp, which is the 3rd of the E chord, now that we're starting on the verse again. This is the 2nd time through the verse, 2nd time through the chord changes in the solo. The solo is, in total, it goes through the verse and chorus 4 times. So this is the 2nd time around. And then over that E chord, we're playing again out of the E shape, or the C shape of the E chord. And we have it's a lick Jerry does on the Scarlet Begonias a lot throughout the years. Then we're going to slide up to the 3rd of the B chord, a D sharp, that's the 8th fret of the 3rd string, and then finish off that B triad. And then this next part, Jerry leaves a lot of space, which he's very good about doing. Leading up to the chorus again, I kind of see this, since it's over a B chord, kind of see it over this B shape up here. And what we have is landing on the C sharp, which is the 3rd of the A chord, leading into the chorus. So now going into the chorus chords again, we have the 3rd, the C sharp, and the 5th E of an A chord. Then sliding up to the 3rd of the E chord, G sharp, and then playing the 14th fret, which is the 5th of the B chord. So again, you can really hear those chord changes as you play through this. And even though we're playing over an A chord, I kind of see that out of that E shape. Then we're going to walk chromatically up to the 3rd, to the C sharp of the A chord again. And again, Jerry's targeting the same chord tones over those chords. The 3rd, the G sharp of the E chord, and the 5th, the F sharp of the B chord, but this time he's approaching it using bends to give it a different sound. love this part. So over the B chord, now instead of just using straight mixolydian, Jerry put some blues in there. He mixes minor and major thirds and a lot of chromaticism to give it a very bluesy and very jazzy feel. So we're starting on the root of the B chord, then playing a minor to major third, walking down chromatically from the root to the flat 7. Then we're going to play a couple other color tones in there. Then we walk down chromatically from the 5th to the 3rd. And then again from the 7, or from the root to the flat 7. And then we're going to play F sharp on the 5th string. That's 8th to 9th fret. And then chromatically from the 7th to the 9th fret of the 4th string. And that all that chromaticism just gives a lot of movement. So we have back to the verse for the 3rd time round. We're on an E chord, and again Jerry's country influences comes through with a series of 6th intervals. So on the 4th and 2nd strings, we're playing 9th fret of each string. So over the E chord, that would be the 5th and the 3rd. Then we're going to play the 7th fret of each string, so the A and the F sharp, and then we're going to play the 6th fret of the 4th string, 5th fret of the 2nd string, which is the G sharp, the 3rd, and the root of E. And note that Jerry slides from the minor 3rd to the major 3rd of that E. Over the B chord, we're playing out of an E shape of the B chord. So over that B chord, we're going to play B triad, sliding up to an A triad, that C shape. So it would be the 11th fret of the 4th string, 9th fret of the 3rd string, 10th fret of the 2nd string. So note that, you know, A and B triads are available in the B mixolydian scale. So playing those just gives a very mixolydian flavor to it. Plus it just sounds really good. So we then we're going to land on the G sharp, 9th fret of the 2nd string, which is the 3rd of the E chord. And then sliding down from the E to the D sharp for the B chord, and then playing a B, the root of the B, that establishes our B chord. So we have so here we're playing again out of that E shape of the B chord, and we're going to add a 4th to that, and then so we have the B, which is the 9th fret of the 4th string, 8th fret of the 3rd string. Then we're going to hammer on to the 9th fret of the 3rd string. Then we're going to pull off from the 9th fret to the 7th fret of the 2nd string. Down that B triad. Now we're back to the chorus, an A chord. So we're going to play out of the C shape of the A chord by sliding up from the 9th to the 11th fret of the 4th string, and then playing the root of the chord, the A, 10th fret of the 2nd string. And then over the E chord, he's targeting the root, the E, and then sliding down to the 3rd, the D sharp of the B chord. So you hear all those chords in there. And then we're going to move down to the E shape of the A chord. Then over an A again, we're playing a 6th interval. So the E and the C sharp, or the 5th and 3rd of the A chord. So here, we're bending up to the 3rd of the E chord with a pre-bend, and then releasing it into the 5th of the B chord, the F sharp, and then playing the 3rd of the B, a D sharp on the 4th fret of the 2nd string. So we have walking up an A triad, and sliding into the 3rd of the B chord. So now that we're over the B, here is interesting because Jerry introduces the major 7th of the B chord, which is not in the B Mixolydian scale. You would find it in the B major scale. And I think he adds that, just it really gives some lead voicing, just some momentum to the chord. So we have and then going back to the flat 7, again just establishing the Mixolydian mode. So we have sliding into the 12th fret of the 2nd string, which is a B, again the 5th of our E chord. Now we're on our last time through the chord changes. So again, over the B chord, we're kind of walking down a B Mixolydian sequence. And then we go into the 3rd of the E chord, the G sharp, and we have and back into the chorus chords now, the A. We're starting with the C sharp on the 14th fret of the 2nd string, which is the 3rd of an A. Kind of slide that down into nothing. Then we play the 10th fret, or the root of the A chord, an A on the 2nd string, 10th fret. So then for the E chord, we're playing out of this A shape. So the 3rd and the root of the E, then out of the E shape of the B chord, we're playing the 5th and the major 3rd. And then this next note, it's kind of ghosted, you don't really hear it, but I notated it on the tab because it sounds like it should be there, and sliding up into the 3rd, the C sharp of our A, because now we're based out of this C shape of the A chord, and we have so again the A shape of the E chord and the E shape of the B chord, and then for the A chord we're going to stay in that E shape. So that ending is very interesting. I don't know if it's exactly what he played, but it's what it sounds like on the recording. Kind of walking up a B triad, but instead of the F sharp, playing the open E string. Then walking chromatically up to the root of the B, and then just kind of bending it. So that last part would be